Hey community, this is Dr. Hugh coming at you, and I've been doing lots of studying, lots of implementation on my clients, and a lot of my clients have been getting better results than I've ever gotten. And one of the breakthroughs I've had is what I want to discuss today, which is basically the cellular breakthrough that changed how I view chronic illness. And this has been really quite a game changer for a lot of my clients. I'm going to go over one specific thing that I've done that have made huge impacts on people's health that have chronic illness. As you know, lots of people are suffering from chronic illness, whether you've have fibromyalgia, brain fog, IBS, damage by antibiotics, mild cognitive impairment, whatever it is. There's too many people that are suffering right now with chronic illness because they're not getting the truth. So if you like this video, give me a thumbs up, share it, and let's help some people, man. Okay, so what we're really going to be talking about today is what I like to call, really, it's going to be photosynthesis, but it's actually in our body. So we actually use sunlight. We actually use sunlight and turn that into energy, just like photosynthesis. So if you look at planet Earth, look at how many green things there are. And all that is because these photosynthesis takes the sun's energy and creates things. It creates vegetables. It creates everything on Earth is really made by the sun. So what the current research is showing is we actually have these same receptors in our body that we can utilize the sun's energy to produce many things, such as increased mitochondria, increased health. So people that are chronically ill, chronically sick, are deficient in sunlight. Now, we're going to be talking about a variety of different wavelengths, and there's a very specific thing that you can buy that can actually get you better. So if you really look at this is pretty amazing. God designed planet Earth that the sunlight provides a form of energy, right? It provides a form of energy. It hits this plant, and this plant produces some kind of product, right? Whether it's a fruit or a vegetable or just a tree, whatever it is, this is all God's design by this energy. Now, what I'm going to be talking about today, and this is what I'm going to be recommending that people buy or purchase, is this right here. It's an infrared sauna blanket. Now, I like this one. I've had clinical experience with this, and I've gotten amazing results. Now, when clients come to me, this isn't the only thing we're doing. We're doing a polytherapy approach, but I can tell you, since I've been changing some of my protocols and trying to focus more on energy production, wavelengths, electrons into people's bodies that have chronic illness, guess what? People are getting better, quicker, faster. And at the end of the day, that's what it's all about. So if you're suffering, get on my website, schedule a call, because you do not need to suffer. You just need a guided path that's specifically for your specific needs. So this right here, this is on Amazon, $139. Now, it was on sale. I'm recording this video here December 31st. This was on sale for $99. I like this one. And I'm going to be talking about these particular wavelengths, which is infrared wavelengths, okay? So in here, this thing is going to warm up. So it's going to warm up, and we have a variety of different temperatures. Now, I see a lot of people that have chronic illness and that are very devastated. Some of them can't get out of bed. They can't take showers. They have a hard time walking. So I see the sickest of the sick. So when we start to do this infrared sauna blanket, right, for $130, it's the infrared blanket. And what we're really trying to focus on is getting these wavelengths in your body that this infrared blanket produces. This is the critical thing. It's the wavelength, just like photosynthesis coming down and hitting the plant and producing that fruit. It's the wavelength of the sun that hits that green photosynthesis, and that produces energy. This is the same thing with your body. Your body has very similar mechanisms. It's the wavelength that you get in your body, and I'll be going over the research on what the wavelength actually does and how you can get better. Now, for chronically ill clients that I see, it's not about sweating. You can see this temperature right here. You can see how this temperature kind of can vary. It can be from 88 to 98 degrees, and then it gets higher and higher and higher. So the clients that I see are very fragile. So we're not trying to do sweating. You can see here, detoxification, inflammation right here. We're not trying to do that on this here when people have chronic illness. What we're really trying to do is just get the wavelength into the body without any sweating, without any pushing any detoxification pathways, because just the wavelength is going to change your chemistry in your body, and you're going to start to heal and function at a much greater level. So this is a very simple thing right here. And you remember, if you have kids, your kids have been swaddled. Remember, I remember swaddling our kids. You get nice and tight. You can see in this picture right in here, this person is very nice and tight. They're swaddled up in this blanket. Now, one of the things that I like about this infrared blanket is I have a 4-person sauna at my house, and you do not need a 4-person sauna. One thing with the blanket, because it's pretty much skin-on-skin contact, you can have this deep penetration at a very, very affordable rate. You don't need a big home system. And a lot of my clients they just can't have these home systems. So this right here is a very doable way to actually get better and get these waves in your body. So what I want to talk about here is these different wavelengths. So this is really important for you to understand. And there's a lot of different wording. So I'm just going to try and clear up the wording so you understand. So please don't get lost on here. I'm going to try and make it as simple as possible so you can follow along. So you see this right here. So this right here is what we can see. What you're looking at right here is this is the whole spectrum of these different wavelengths that are coming into our body. And you can only see a very small portion of that. This right in here, that's the only thing that you can see. So the visible light that you can see is very, very small compared to the whole spectrum of these different wavelengths that are coming into your body. Same thing with photosynthesis. Like, we can see so many different lights, but it's actually the other wavelengths that are invisible to the human eye, that what we're trying to focus on and what we're trying to get into your body so you can recover from chronic illness. If you are wavelength deficient, you just are not going to get well. So this is the small little area right here that you can actually see. Now we're focused on this area right here, which is what we call infrared wavelengths. And there's a couple different names for these things, which can be kind of confusing. So there's near, then there's mid, then there's far. Now, this is how I remember it. You have the sun right here. Okay, so this is my little hack for this. You have the sun right here. This is the visible light that we can see. So when these wavelengths are closer to the sun, it's called near. When in the middle, it's called middle. And then when they're far away from the sun, they're called far infrared. So that's how I just remember it. But what we're really going to be talking about here is we're going to be talking about this wavelengths, or these wavelengths right up in here, which are very, very critical to human health. And more important than human health is chronic illness. When people are deficient in these wavelengths, this causes chronic deficiency, chronic illness, chronic sickness. So any disease that you have, if you put wavelengths in your body, you're going to supercharge your body. You're going to supercharge your mitochondria. So this is a really interesting graph. So this is all the wavelengths right here. This is all the wavelengths right here that you can see on planet Earth right here. These are the different wavelengths. There's the pie, right? And what we're really looking at here is we have visible light. So we have the visible light, which is right in here, which is 43%. So 43% of the total sun's energy is this portion right in here, okay? Is this portion right in here. This is it. So we got 43% right here. 43% was right there. Now, check this out. The biggest pie right here is what? This is the infrared. So this is at 52%. So when we look at the different wavelengths that are coming into your body, in your skin, and just like photosynthesis, you're turning that into energy and a whole bunch of different things, which I'll be discussing in a second. 52% of that you cannot see. You cannot see with your physical eyes. So this is why it's so critical here. Visible is 43. Right in here. And then we have this little bit right in here, which is, this is what we call ultraviolet. So you can see right here, ultraviolet. So of the whole spectrum, just to give you an idea of what these different wavelengths are and how much different wavelengths and what they are, can kind of give you an understanding of what we're talking about. Now in here, this is a very interesting graph. What we're talking about is how deep these wavelengths go. So depending on what it is, if it's red light, if it's near infrared or far infrared, they penetrate deeper into the tissues, okay? So this right here, so this is far infrared, right? So far infrared right here, we're talking about this portion farthest away from the sun right in here. Now, when you look at the penetration, because why do we want penetration? We want penetration because if this wavelength can get deep into the tissues, it's going to hit mitochondria. It's going to hit cell membranes. It's going to hit the things that produce energy, because these wavelengths, that's what they do. They produce energy. Just like in photosynthesis in plants, this sunlight is coming down in there. It's hitting the chlorophyll, producing energy. And when you produce energy, you produce things like fruit or whatever that plant is going to end up making. So you can see here that the far infrared get the deepest penetration. They get the deepest penetration in your body. So when we look at this infrared blanket, this is a far infrared. This is far infrared. So what does that mean? That means that this is getting deep penetration into your body. So it's not about sweating. If you have chronic illness, it's not about sweating. It's just about getting that wavelength into your body and having it do its magic the way God designed our body to heal and function. Okay, and then you can see like in here, this is near infrared. It doesn't go as deep. Far infrared goes deeper. And this is just another great visual that I like to show you. I like to show you visuals because they say that picture's worth 1,000 words, and I learn on visuals right here. So what you're looking at here, this would be, you've heard a lot of things about red light. Red light, right? Okay, so you have red light here. Then when we talk about red light, that's what you can actually physically see red light, right? And then we have over here, we have near infrared, which you cannot see that. Like that, you can't see that, but it's there. And if you recall up here, that is actually 52%. That is actually 52% here of the rays are rays that you cannot physically see. So in here, you can see that this right here goes much deeper, right? It goes much deeper here. It says deep penetration right in here. And this is what the sauna blanket does for you. It provides deep penetration into the tissues, okay? So that's really the concept is we have these receptors in our body that they take this wavelength and they produce things, and it does certain things in our body, okay? So let's kind of go over what are those things that it actually does. So the first thing is what the infrared sauna does, or infrared blanket right here does, is this is a thing called cytochrome C right here, cytochrome C. Basically, what that is here is it actually absorbs, so it actually is going to absorb the energy, right? It's going to absorb the energy from the wavelength, right? That's how God designed us, like energy wavelengths. It absorbs the energy, and guess what it does? It increases electron transport chain. What is that? That's a fancy word for saying like in your mitochondria, all those electrons are passed back and forth that produce energy and hormones and everything in your entire body. This wavelength gets into the mitochondria and it causes the mitochondria to produce more electrons, which is awesome. This is where chronic illness, if you have chronic illness, chronic disease, you are electron deficient. You don't have enough electrons running around in your body. The next thing it does is it causes what we say mitochondria biogenesis. That is basically a fancy word for saying that you're going to produce more mitochondria. So it helps you produce more mitochondria, and then you're going to get better. So in here, it triggers the creation of new mitochondria, increasing the body's overall capacity for energy and to manage fatigue. Next thing here it does, it reduces oxidative stress. So if you know anything about chronic illness, is you're in a state of oxidative stress. Lots of oxidative stress, and these are like little Pac-Mans that go around and cause damage to tissue. So the infrared blanket, what does it do? It quenches those things, right? Quenches all these things. Is very, very simple. Now this right here, this has been, once I understood this concept here, this is literally a very, very significant game changer, and it's called easy water or structured water. And this is not BS. This is actually science on what happens here. So I'm going to spend some time and show you, what they call exclusion water in here or easy water. So first of all, I'm just going to show you a diagram. So when you use the infrared blanket, right, what this does is that this creates structured or easy water in your body. It's the same thing. It creates this water. So here's a picture. So you can see here, this would be a solid. So this would be like ice, right? Then we have a normal liquid. So this would be like you getting some water out of the tap. And then we have gas. So you're boiling some water and then these molecules kind of boil up, right? And then there's this thing right here, which is called easy water or structured water. Now, this is a very, very important concept to get when it comes to chronic illness. You can see here how it's literally structured, right? Here's these molecules that are kind of random. This is the liquid just kind of floating around. And here we have structure. So the infrared wavelength, the far infrared wavelength comes into your body. It hits the water in your cells and it causes the water to have a certain structure. It literally changes the structure of the water. So in here, you can see, this is another great photo. In here, you can see what's happening here. The water molecules are just kind of random all over the place. And then this is what they call structured water. Structured water down in here. Now, what happens in here, I'm going to read this sentence in here. This is very, very important here. So easy water or structured water. Charge separation, and energy storage. So infrared light is a prime driver of expanding the size of easy water layers next to the cell membrane. So let me break that down. When you have the wavelength, the far infrared wavelength coming in to your body, it hits the water molecules. And when it hits these water molecules, you can see how they expand, they get bigger, right? They're bigger. You see your droplets here, they're much bigger. So they expand, they get bigger, in particular, next to the cell membranes. Now, what does this do? This is very important. This structured water acts like a biological battery, storing energy in a form of negative charge and promoting better cellular hydration. So this stores negative charges. So if you have chronic illness, you are negatively charged. You're deficient in electrons. So the wavelength comes in, the far infrared wavelengths comes in your body. It causes the water to change structure to what they call easy water or structured water. And when that happens, that water can hold more electrons. When that water holds more electrons, that is life. That is what produces energy. That is what gives you life and vitality. So if you have any chronic illness at all, you're going to be electron deficient. So this is a $100, $130 infrared blanket, far infrared blanket can provide these benefits to you. Like this is pretty amazing in here. So that's structured water. Okay, so you can see that. Now, here's some other things that I'm just going to kind of read some of these things to you. And this is the link right here. So if you want to get the link and kind of geek out on that, you totally can. So here it says that far infrared light energizes water. Far infrared light, that's the blanket, far infrared light. Okay, when it says light, that's the same thing. Energizes water, causing its molecules to vibrate and align into structure, right? It lines into structure, right? So this is the structure right in here. So it lines in the structure. It becomes more like a gel type water. So it's not like water like you get out of the faucet. It's more of a gel like structure, right? This is actually research. And it stores energy, allowing it to act like a battery and support cellular function. Guess what? You're only as healthy as your individual cells. If your cells are sick, you're going to be sick. Far infrared rays energized from the source like infrared saunas, right? So this is telling you where you're getting it. Infrared saunas or sunlight. This increases the easy water, right? So you can get it from sunlight for sure. But people don't get enough sunlight. People with chronic illness, they need a lot of energy into their body. So if you go to my website right here, I have a new blog that's basically chronic illness, electron deficiency. So this is where I've been making huge headways in chronic illness because I've been connecting all these dots. I have a lot of content on my website and other things that are very similar to this. And when you apply all these things, all this polytherapy approach, guess what? This is when you're going to recover from chronic illness. Okay, here's another couple things that the wavelength does is it causes vibration of the cells. Okay, and when it causes vibration of the cells, this is going to allow the cells to absorb more energy. So it vibrates at a higher rate. Okay. Now here I want to make the distinction on this right here. So what's the difference between a rock sauna, like where you go in a sauna and they have rocks and you put water on, and an infrared? These are completely they're 180 degrees difference. Okay, so the rock sauna is not producing the infrared, the far infrared wavelengths. This is what's missing, right? So this is the big concept: is rock saunas do not produce the infrared wavelength, right? So it warms the air, but it's not going to vibrate your cells. It's not going to do all the things that we just talked about. And then finally in here, it also does, it helps your nitric oxide balance. And nitric oxide is what helps your arteries kind of dilate and deliver oxygen and nutrition in your entire body. Okay, so that's it. Like, it's very simple thing that everyone can get. If you like this content, give me a thumbs up and share this with someone that is suffering, because you know what? God designed you to be healthy. And I have a saying is where there's help, there's hope. Where there's help, there's hope. I've been able to turn cases around that have been chronically sick because I have a proven system now, like a proven system that gets proven results consistently. So that being said, take care. Love you guys. Bye-bye.